And you can forget the soft focus, the candlelight, the mildly overpriced dinner.
Oh
Mildly is
yeah.
putting it very loosely,
Mm.
but it is overpriced. And let's be very honest, that's all just the user interface. And in case you were under any illusions, you, dear viewers and listeners, are the users in this made up scenario, right? So, even though most romantics, possibly including you, are not really interested in the logistics of Valentine's Day, we are here today to talk about the operating system that keeps the entire enterprise running.
What's up, Pragar? How was the show? What show was it? Why were you in Bombay? I fully forgot.
This you forgot. Arey, so I went for Linkin Park.
Oh,
Linkin
right.
Park came to
Yeah.
India, and I was pretty excited. I actually went to Lollapalooza. I went to Mumbai, and it was actually very nice. I was excited for Linkin Park, but also the other thing that I did was I actually walked the entire city for those 2 days. I did not take public transport. I did not take cabs. 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, 2 kilometers, I walked.
Nice.
And it
Nice.
and I loved it. I realized that Mumbai is better than
Yeah.
Delhi, like in the sense of walkability. Like you can
What?
walk the city because there's beach and then there's like interesting food joints nearby, and at least you have proper footpaths and tree shades. You can
Mhm.
actually walk the entire city. So I loved it. Yeah.
Did you bump
Although
into any of our friends?
I bumped into a lot of friends, their girlfriends, and one of
Mhm.
our musician friend who was playing at the festival and his
Oh,
girlfriend.
right.
I chilled with them a lot. Yeah, I
Who,
chilled with them
what
and
band? What band?
Bloodywood.
Ah,
So
Bloodywood. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Bloodywood opened for Linkin Park, by the way. And there
Oh,
was this one video.
Oh, hmm.
Yeah. And there was this one video where someone made a story of Bloodywood performing, and on the wing area of the stage, Mike Shinoda and Mr. Han, who's the DJ for Linkin Park, they were
Yeah, yeah,
watching
yeah.
Bloodywood and they were
nice.
headbanging.
Nice.
They are very
So that
popular,
was pretty
dude.
wild.
They are really, really, really popular.
The thing is that Linkin Park was popular, and now, of course, they're still popular. But the thing that people are they're
No, I was talking
working
about
on is
Bloodywood being
the
popular.
oh, acha. Bloodywood is also
I
famous,
am
yes.
aware Linkin Park is popular. I what do you, I mean, I am very away from the music scene, but I know
Yeah,
Linkin
yeah,
Park is popular. That was almost
Bloodywood is of
insulting.
Nice.
Did you go to the
and
concert alone? Like the whole concert, did you go alone or were
yeah,
you with?
yeah. For the concert for to Mumbai, I went alone. I met our friends. First day I went
Mhm.
with my friends. The second day I went early because I wanted the front spot near the barricade. So I went in early and I stood there for 8 hours before Linkin Park came up on stage. I met a lot of people. I made a lot of friends for a day because I
Nice.
don't know their names. I don't have their numbers. But we chilled.
That's not called
We chilled.
friends.
No, but we chilled for 8 hours. We are standing there
Yeah.
in the front. We chilled there. Like they were from Bangalore. Some of them were from Pune. Some of them were from Mumbai.
I
Two
can
people from
never
Delhi.
go
So
to a
we,
concert alone, dude. I don't know how people do it. I know so many people who do it. I will absolutely have a nervous
I mean,
breakdown
you
if
have to be
I.
really into the concert going experience for you to
yeah,
enjoy that.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's pointless.
So it was nice. I loved it. They did all of their classic songs. And their new singer, Emily, she's amazing.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
I've
she's an
Very
heard her
amazing
on
amazing.
singer, dude.
YouTube. She's so good.
And she's
Yeah.
very funny. She's very funny.
Yeah?
She's very goofy and she's like she perfectly fits the vibe of Linkin Park.
Nice.
It
Nice.
I'm
was
glad you
nice.
had
I
fun.
loved it.
Did
Yeah.
you happen to bump into someone who you
What?
might consider dating in the longer scene?
No.
Jesus
Maybe,
Christ.
perhaps,
What?
perhaps,
What is.
perhaps choose to spend Valentine's Day with?
No.
Oh, fuck.
I thought after the show I'll chill with this one chick. She was from Bangalore. But after the show, everyone they dispersed, and I didn't get time to take down her number. But
Eh.
we chilled actually. We chilled together. She was like my buddy, for all the songs we were singing together,
Mm-hmm.
and she was badass. She didn't let anyone get past her. Whenever someone used to ask her, like, "Can I, stand here, or can I go in front?" She's like, "Fuck no." She was up front, and she's like, "Fuck off! I'm not letting you in anywhere in front of
I
me."
feel
And
like
she was not very tall, so she was
it is the
basically
short people who do this. It's
Yeah,
tall people don't do this. Short people are like
yeah, yeah,
absolutely fuck right off. We have a lot of
yeah, yeah.
rage in
yeah,
us. Life has not been good. So we have this
I can
insane
attest to that.
rage.
Yeah.
yeah,
Small animals of all size, they're always
Oh, it
so
is small
fiery and aggressive,
dogs.
dude.
But Sandy,
Yeah,
was this
even
hilarious.
Valentine's Day your attempt at a segue?
it was not an attempt, it was an actual segue, but you guys somehow managed to screw that up. So, anyway, going back, Prakhar, do you have any plans for Valentine's Day?
Yes, I had a very good plan, by the way. I had a very good
Hmm.
plan. I had a concert to attend to in Bangalore, but that got cancelled. But now I have a show I'm playing in Delhi on Valentine's Day, and
Oh,
all of these couples will be enjoying our music, having fun, while I'm a
Mm-hmm.
single person, but I'll be
you'll be
playing
entertaining
music for
them.
these guys. Yeah, I'll be entertaining them. Yes. So that's my plan for Valentine's Day.
You're a part of the love.
This is my
Okay.
second call. This is my second call for any single ladies who are looking for a hot drummer in a popular band. So please reach out to us and we'll put you in touch. Having said that,
Okay.
having said that, we are in fact recording this episode with an eye on releasing it in the week building up to Valentine's Day. So if you're listening to this episode somewhere around in mid-February, then you're probably just engaged in an activity that I lovingly refer to as squeezing the sausage. I will not be explaining this joke any further.
What? What the
The people who are squeezing their sausages right about now, you have my sympathies for having to do so. You have my gratitude as well for joining
Gratitude.
us on this most gratitude for joining us for this episode. Not for, I mean, you can squeeze your sausage on your own time, dude, but for joining us, in addition to
This
squeezing your
just
sausage. So that's what
That
I'm
this
grateful
pause
just
for.
was
gets worse and
unnecessary.
worse.
That pause was terrible.
For all we know, it could be Kiss Day, Bear Day, Hug Day, Chocolate Day, or any of those other ridiculous, pointless days that build up to the actual Valentine's Day. But whatever day you are joining us on, thank you for choosing to do so. You didn't have to, but you still chose to do so. So thank you for that. At the end of the day, Valentine's Day is arguably the world's most beautiful and simultaneously most brutal act of commercial choreography. And today's
Yeah.
episode is going to be all about that. I mean, I could have gone into the origin story of Valentine's Day and so on and so forth, but I'm not making this number up. There are literally a million other sources to find that out. You can just put in origins of Valentine's Day and you can, like, literally, the first 15 pages are full of the same story in different active passive voice. So,
Except if you're in India, because for some reason I was looking it up because we were talking about something about Valentine's Day and I was looking it up and it's YouTube is like full of anti Valentine's Day and the Hindutva gang have renamed 14th February as some random days. It's a lot of fun. I would highly recommend watching that
Oh
yeah,
nonsense.
God.
But yeah, but yes, million sources to know the story.
yeah, exactly. And you can forget the soft focus, the candlelight, the mildly overpriced dinner.
Oh
Mildly is
yeah.
putting it very loosely,
Mm.
but it is overpriced. And let's be very honest, that's all just the user interface. And in case you were under any illusions, you, dear viewers and listeners, are the users in this made up scenario, right? So even though most romantics, possibly including you, are not really interested in the logistics of Valentine's Day, we are here today to talk about the operating system that keeps the entire enterprise running. Your first question, quite understandably, must be why? Like, why the
Hmm.
fuck should I should I learn about this? My answer to said question would be because Valentine's Day accounts for almost up to 40% of annual florist's revenue in many markets around the world. So imagine if you are a florist in any part of the world, almost like 40% of your annual revenue is coming for just because of this single day that some random person somewhere chose to celebrate, right?
I actually saw this new thing like crocheted bouquets that also becomes like a shrug, and
Mm-hmm.
that's actually quite nice
Wow.
because it's yeah, you can repurpose it. So it's like a round sort of crocheted mat or something if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you pick it from the middle and you hold it, it looks like a bouquet, and the edges
Mm.
is like roses and all.
Nice.
So now people are investing in crochet. Like I have a friend who's also a crochet artist. She told me that people are now getting
Yeah,
into
yeah,
all of this, like crocheted bouquets and toys, so that you can actually decorate your houses
Nice.
with it, and it looks more personal because either you're
yeah,
if you're a crochet artist and you do it on your own, it is more personal then, no?
yeah. No, fair, makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes sense.
Disrupting their market.
So we're talking about the time-bound, cold-stored, carbon-intensive, brutally efficient logistics operation that allows you to buy a fragile, perishable product on February 14th, or maybe a day or two, depending on how well you plan these things, without having to think about the geopolitical and environmental costs. But unfortunately for you, I chose to do that today. So here we go.
Geopolitical. Interesting.
Slightly, yeah.
Okay.
Right about now, you might wonder, why should you know all of this anyway? After all, you just want to get laid at the end of the day, right? And that is absolutely fair. No judgment from me whatsoever, I swear. At its very core, Valentine's Day isn't about love, to be very honest. It's about timing. And what happens when a fragile product, a flower in this case, has to survive farms, cold storage, cargo planes, customs, warehouses, trucks, and florists, all without dying before its one non negotiable deadline? And that's what we'll try and explore in this episode. For the purpose of this episode, we'll be talking exclusively about the roses that are showered on better halves all around the world and nothing else. Though there are a bunch of other stuff that may be considered perishable as well in the
No.
context of Valentine's Day, right? So we're sticking to cut flowers, especially red roses, for this episode,
When you
right?
said shower, other things, I was thinking of a completely different shower. I was prepared to be fully disgusted, but thanks for not going there.
Okay, now you have to tell us what that
What do you
is.
mean? Have you not heard of golden showers?
But why would I mention that in the context of Valentine's Day, Ashmita?
What are you talking about? Where else does golden shower put it? It's fully in the context. Don't shame people's kinks.
I am literally not shaming people's kings. You brought it up. You literally brought it up.
I did. Yeah, yeah. I did. But that's
Ashmita
what I,
yaar.
that's what I was thinking of. When you said shower, other things, I was like, oh no, what
Okay,
direction are we
now I
going?
think we need to be fair to everyone. For the two people who didn't get that reference or joke, Ashmita is referring to what people in a lot of circles refer to as a golden shower. I don't need to explain it further. Please do look it up on your own time
Uh,
because I think
how
at least
nice.
if
It
nothing else, you will learn something new.
just repeating the phrase that I used, which was golden showers, and
Did
saying,
you? Oh, I'm
yes,
sorry. I might have missed that. Oh,
yes.
okay, okay.
But go ahead, Sandy.
Okay. So, whether there is love in the air all around you or not, let me assure you that there definitely is freight cargo in the air and it's all conspiring to get you laid. For all intents and purposes, love is quite literally in the air, and that's what we'll explore in this episode. So, let me paint all of you a very pretty picture. You're standing there on Valentine's Day, all dressed up to your nines. You hand over the dozen long stemmed roses to your sweetheart, because why not? By all accounts, you've completed the romantic ritual. Mission accomplished, right? Is there something you would do different, Prakhar?
I don't know. I've been out of this game for a very long time now, so I have no idea. But yeah,
No,
pretty
but if
much
you
the
had
same.
to, if you
Pretty much
had
the
to,
same.
like,
Yes.
is there something more you would have done, something less you would have done?
I would love to take that person for a bike ride, like to the mountains. Maybe just two of us, and maybe ride somewhere in the hills.
How nice.
I am sure you would like a ride.
You naughty, naughty. You teasing me, you naughty, naughty.
Anyway, except
Okay, Sanjay.
Okay.
what? Is that where we're drawing the line?
Very fair.
What? Why
Yeah.
this of all things you guys made a face at? Like,
Because it was too prakhar, no?
like everyone, sex jokes are the lowest rung of jokes, so it's fine. You can make sexual jokes anytime.
It's just that it hurts.
Poop jokes, fart jokes, and sex jokes, they are the lowest rung. They're the lowest hanging fruits in terms of, the joke scale. So it's fine. We don't have to make a face or be like, act as if we're allergic to it. So it's fine. Breathe,
Fair
everyone,
enough, fair
breathe.
enough.
Go on, Sandy.
Anyway, except what you've actually done is successfully navigated a complex global logistics exam that the world collectively takes once a year, every year, right? Without fail. It's an exam where failure means without petals and, most importantly, social disappointment. The stakes are, well, they're emotional, but the mechanisms are purely industrial, right? All of this sounds pretty overwhelming right about now. That's because it actually is. Very briefly, think about all of it. The entire enterprise relies on a fragile, perishable product, a flour, right? Surviving a transcontinental journey, it's an ongoing race against the biological clock of decomposition. To no one's surprise, the demand for roses goes exponentially high around this time every year, right? So much so that it is estimated that around 250 million roses are produced globally, specifically for Valentine's Day every year. Just imagine, a quarter of a billion roses are groomed and produced every year just for this fucking day, right?
How much does a rose cost and how much does the cost goes up? I have no idea. Like, been so many years, honestly. I know a weird question, but like you said, it costs more during Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
How much more?
I don't know. I don't know the basic. I mean, obviously, it depends from country to country, like location to location, geography to geography. A lot of it also depends
Hmm.
on how far the roses are coming from, or what are the conditions they are, cultivated in. There are a lot of contributing factors. Obviously, logistics, the supply chain is a massive contributing
Hmm.
factor to the prices of the rose as well, right? To no one's surprise again,
Yeah.
right? So there are a lot of factors, some of which we'll be trying to unpack and understand over the course of this episode. Some of them, the actual price of the rose, it's better if if you genuinely want to find that out, it's better if you find that out on your own time, because there is no one singular answer to such a question, right? It's a very
Yeah,
subjective
fair,
thing in this, because it's
fair.
not it's not the exact same for every
Fair.
single scenario, right? So, contrary to popular belief, your bouquet isn't simply a symbol of eternal devotion. It's a monument to the integrity of a refrigerated supply chain that is working overtime so that you can feel good about yourselves, right?
Hmm.
Romance is the pretty packaging, but underneath, it's a time bound procurement cycle that frankly does not care about your feelings or whether your partner prefers lilies or orchids or whatever the fuck they want, right?
Kids.
Not kids, orchids. Orchids, the
Ah!
flower orchids.
I was like, you prefer lilies or kids? That's what I thought you said. I was
That
like,
is not a choice
that
anyone should be making.
I was like, that's such a jump. What the fuck?
You'll be like, fuck this. I'll make do with lilies. Fuck kids. Right? Not literally. Please don't take that literally.
Oh
Don't
God.
fuck kids. Please.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
You have to clarify all of that these days. You never know.
Yeah.
Right? And for the record, I did not say kids, I said orchids. It's not an either or option. It's lilies or orchids. Right? Anyway, so, all in all, we've been conditioned to view this as a purely emotional holiday. But if you zoom out and take a macro look at all of this, the sheer volume, the incredible speed, And the geographical fragmentation of the supply chain turns February 14th into a logistic singularity, right? So this is when global freight operators start looking less like cargo handlers and more like extremely stressed matchmakers. Except instead of bringing two people together, they're bringing a flower from a specific latitude and altitude in the global south to a corner store in the global north. And they have 72 hours or even less in some cases to do all of this. Now, to understand why we put ourselves through this, we have to go back, way, way back. And while we sort out our trip and logistics to the way back, here is a short ad break. Hopefully, by then, we'd have reached way back, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back from the break. We finally made it to way back, and we're glad that you made it here along with us. Let's start with one undeniable fact. Valentine's Day did not start as a hallmark moment. If you think so, you're just stupid. If you want
Oh
a
my God.
backstory,
Okay.
Valentine's Day did not start as a hallmark moment. If you want a backstory that kills the mood, this is probably it. The early history is chaotic, violent, and deeply unromantic, involving things like executions by Roman emperors and pagan fertility ritual called Lupercalia, where men would literally run around and slap women with strips of animal hide to promote fertility. If you don't
What?
believe me, please feel free to look it up. That is believed to be the actual origins of the modern day Valentine's Day. Okay. So,
Jesus.
okay.
Oh.
Love really wasn't on the cards back when it first started. I will not be going into the questionable and murky origins of Valentine's Day. I'm sure all of you have heard of the various versions and 1001 Saint Valentines who made it all happen, but I'm just not getting into that. Just know that it was all very chaotic until the 19th and 20th centuries. This is when the holiday needed to be, for lack of a better term, marketable, right?
Mm.
It had to become standardized. Cards, flowers, chocolates. These aren't just arbitrary choices. They are repeatable symbols that could be manufactured, marketed, and scaled up. And that is exactly why we stick to your chocolates, roses, cards, because it's very easy to do that repeatedly. And there's a standardized version and format of each of these, right? That we usually
Yeah.
stick to around this time. The score is currently capitalism 1 and love 0. Just for those of you who care, right? Think of all of this like standardization as the moment romance stopped being a spontaneous, messy emotion and became more seasonal. A date was fixed,
Mm.
February 14th, as we all know it. Expectations were set, a token of affection must be exchanged. And here's the crucial part: failure to participate became socially visible. You must buy the thing.
Mm.
And just in case you're still wondering, once it became socially visible, it became frowned upon as well in case you are not a part of this.
It is
You
still
know,
there,
that's how
I
most
feel.
of this.
It's still there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. People somehow, I don't know why this has become some sort of a social ritual that everyone is sort of forced into being a part of. Like, oh my God, you're not celebrating Valentine's Day. I mean, it's
Mm.
fine, dude. It's
Yeah.
fine if you don't choose to do that. It's absolutely fine. At that point, it ceased being a feeling you had and became an annual procurement cycle that you participate in, right? It's a shift from organic affection to predictable calendar driven commerce.
Mm.
The system has successfully taken a murky, violent history and polished it into a perfectly efficient mechanism for moving inventory. A triumph of capitalism, to be very honest. So, just for those of you who are keeping score, capitalism 2, love 0. Okay.
Wow.
Now, let's talk about the absolute nightmare that is February 14 deadline. This date is non negotiable and is set in stone. You might ask why.
Why?
You can't move it to the weekend. You can't delay it because of shipping issues. There are no extensions. And that single immovable date is what makes Valentine's Day uniquely stressful from a supply chain perspective, right? Unlike birthdays or anniversaries, which distribute demand across the year like a nice manageable drizzle, Valentine's Day concentrates it into a single global surge, a commercial tidal wave that hits once a year and then vanishes into obscurity. This forces every single player in the chain, the farms, the freight operators, the wholesalers, the florists,
Hmm.
to build temporary extreme capacity that they absolutely do not need for the remaining 361 days of the year. So, yeah, by the way, all of this, the entire supply chain, what am I call it, that we are referring to throughout this episode, is very briefly in the span of 3 to 4 days, not even an entire week
Hmm.
building up to Valentine's Day, by the way. We're
Yeah.
talking about 72 to 96 hours before Valentine's Day, in the build up to Valentine's Day.
So my question is, for rest of the days, there's not such a huge demand for roses or for flowers, but for this specific day, there is a huge demand, right? So how do they generate so many roses, but for the rest of the days, what do they do like with those amount of roses? Because the plant is there, the plant is
Hmm.
still growing roses, but the
Yeah,
demand is not there. But for this
yeah.
one day, there is demand. So how do they balance it? Like, I don't know, the demand, supply chain, and do the roses go to waste, or are people still buying it? But how does it work? Because there's a very huge gap between the rest of the days and
Yeah.
this one day for the demand.
I'm glad you said all of that, Prakhar, because that is exactly what we'll be exploring throughout this episode.
Hmm,
So by the end of this, hopefully I would have answered at least 75 to 80% of those questions, if not all of
hmm,
them. So the demand curve for roses literally looks like a sheer cliff, if you can picture a sheer cliff. So straight up for about 72 hours and then literally a vertical drop. If you were to draw a graph, it would look like a sheer cliff, right? To cope with all of this, companies must A, overproduce, B, overstock, and C, overtransport for a window that lasts a few days at best,
hmm,
right? And here's where we hit the core tension among all of this. Efficiency in this context does not mean sustainability or cost effectiveness over the long term. It just means speed.
hmm.
That's about it.
Mm.
And speed, my dear friends, in case you didn't know, it comes at a cost. It is fucking expensive.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Just try and doing an overnight courier. Simplest of things. It is at least two to three times more expensive than any of your normal couriers, right?
yeah,
Now
Yeah.
imagine this at a grand global stage and global scale.
yeah.
That you're basically overnighting these millions of roses, right? So yeah, it means throwing money at the problem until the problem, which is getting a flower from the other end of the world to your fucking doorstep, is solved before the clock runs out.
Hmm.
Now you might ask, where do these roses that I very much need to profess my love come from? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a very genuine question. Because how else would you do it otherwise?
Hmm.
Right? Because you can't. Books have told us so, philosophers have told us so, and Shakespeare has told us so. But I assure you, in fact, I do have an answer for all of this. The short answer to your question is almost certainly not from anywhere near you, right? And when I say you, I'm talking to our listeners and viewers specifically in Europe and North America, right?
Hmm.
Why, you might ask? Because in the US alone, over $2 billion are spent on flowers for Valentine's Day annually. $2 billion. That's the GDP of five fucking small countries. $2 billion. I lost my shit when I read this amount.
Yeah. That's massive. Yeah.
That's transportation, storage, and over production.
No, this is consumer spend on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
$2 billion. People like
Yeah.
you and me are spending over $2 billion on Valentine's Day.
Not even
Yeah. I
flowers,
mean,
just like,
of course, it includes all costs. It includes transport, it includes cost of production, of course. It's the
Yes,
final price. It includes profit.
yes, yes, yes.
We are talking about like millions of people spending cumulative $2 billion.
Yes, of
yeah.
course.
In that
But
context, it's fine.
Ashmita, millions of people. Okay, This was very specific. This is just US alone, by the way. This is not world over. US alone, even despite the population of US being however many millions, you might concede the fact that not everyone can afford to spend money on Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
So roughly half the population straight away goes away, right? Because you
Hmm.
genuinely don't have enough money to afford healthcare, for example, and also spend on Valentine's Day, right?
Yeah.
That was a low blow, but it deserves to be a low blow. Make of that what you
Sandy,
will.
Sandy got, for the listeners, Sandy got so agitated by that number. We are sorry for the massive increase in volume, but also Sandy is like fully sweating at this point of time. Like, what
I'm
the
not.
fuck? Oh,
I'm not.
you just wiped your,
No, I was
your
my hair had was falling onto my face, so I was just.
okay. So sorry, he's not sweating. He's just agitated in general about the $2 billion
I mean,
spent.
are you not? I'm amazed that
Yeah,
you are not.
No, it
it
is.
is.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
It is definitely a lot.
Yeah, I mean, to no one's surprise, this is the single highest amount spent by any one single country, and that is
yeah,
by a considerable margin, right? By a considerable margin, right? Also, just very briefly, Valentine's Day is a very special day for an altogether different reason here in India because there's a good chance you might end up getting married if you're caught with your romantic interest
Yeah.
somewhere outside, So yeah, it's a very special day for it might end up being your marriage day as well. So be careful. Yeah.
For the Because I know for a fact that there are listeners in other countries, I'm just going to give some context to
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You all should really look up, for those who don't know, you all should look up what the right wing in general, like all the different parties, have been doing for Valentine's Day. There was this rage that happened about a
yeah,
decade back, decade and a half back, and that continued, where the conservatives, when they saw a couple on Valentine's Day out and about minding their own business, they would take them to religious places, which was always and always a temple, and get them married off like forcefully. The really funny part is that marriage is not valid because temple marriages are not
yeah.
recognized in the country as a valid marriage. But sure, you get like a weird forced ceremony out of this. It's
Yeah.
insane
Yeah,
behavior. Also, they first beat you, which is a weird thing to do, right? Like they first beat you and then they make you marry each other. Like it's Sandy, to your context, it is very fitting for the history of Valentine's Day, I feel, with the
Yeah.
violence that you were alluding to.
Yeah.
So who
And also
knew the right wing was so cultural?
you're not even getting a decent wedding picture out of it because you're beaten black
No.
and blue.
Yeah,
So
and you're not wearing wedding clothes. It's a That is the problem with all of this. That the
yeah.
fact that you're not getting a decent picture. That's the real issue.
So why I mentioned that was because a lot of the stuff that we're talking about or covering in this episode are relatively specific to the global north because that is where Valentine's Day is a huge deal. And despite my jokes, Valentine's Day is not really celebrated as a context in India specifically
hmm.
for a variety of reasons. One of them being because it's not an Indian thing in the first place. It's not a an event that Indians are usually into all that
Mm.
much. And
Talking like a
secondly,
right wing. Of
no, that's a fact. Am I wrong in saying that?
course, the right wing is also they also talk with facts, their own facts.
I mean, you need to brush up on your definitions then, Prakhar. I think you're
No,
misguided there, but
I fully support the right wing when you say all of this.
so
But yeah,
yeah,
in India, it's
basically,
not really.
yeah.
Yeah.
All of that is to say that roses are not a very good idea around here, especially on Valentine's Day.
Maybe we should do
Because
Gende ke
for
Phool,
the
no?
for okay, so Genda means marigold for those of you who
Ah,
don't
Yeah.
understand.
fair,
Yeah.
fair.
So okay. To no one's surprise, most Valentine's Day roses are sold in Europe and North America, and they are grown in countries like Kenya, Ecuador, and Colombia. So
Hmm.
you start noticing a
Mhm.
pattern over here, right? This isn't just a coincidence, it's a calculated decision, despite what anyone might end up telling you, right? As much as 70% of the cut roses sold in Europe are grown in Kenya, and Colombia supplies as much as 60% of the cut flowers sold in the United States, right? So a,
Hmm.
a huge chunk, the majority of these flowers being sold in Europe and North America come from countries such as Kenya and Colombia. These regions offer a perfect cocktail of high altitudes, consistent daylight, favorable climates, and critically, low labor costs,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
This allows roses to be produced year round and, more importantly, harvested precisely to meet the non negotiable February demand elsewhere. Basically, these countries are not growing these flowers and especially roses for their own internal consumption. They are exclusively grown to be exported to the global north
Yeah.
in general, right? Just to give you some context, Kenya exports over 200,000 tons of flowers per year, with Valentine's week being the single biggest spike, right? 200,000 tons is not a very small amount in
Yeah. Yeah.
anyone's
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Any again, just for keeping score, capitalism 3, love 0. Okay. So when you're buying a fresh rose, you are purchasing the result of a geographically fragmented system designed to minimize cost while maximizing speed,
Hmm.
right? The flower is delicate, yes, but the industrial system behind it is anything but. The cold, dry truth is that your expression of love has been outsourced to a global commodity market and it has conspired with the universe at large to get you laid. So, the very first thing you should know about cut flowers is that they typically have a post harvest shelf life of about 7 to 10 days. In 10 days, it's
Hmm.
stretching it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The best case scenario is 10 days.
Hmm.
And once those roses are cut, the 72 hours of chaos begins. The clock starts pretty much immediately as soon as the flower is cut. So, in the first couple of hours, the flowers are rushed into cooling units to slow the decay process. They are bundled and packed, right? And then over the course of the next 8 to 10 hours, they are transported to major international airports, loaded onto cargo planes. These planes are essentially flying greenhouses, refrigerated the entire time, right? Over the next 24 to 48 hours, they fly across continents, clear through customs, which turns airports into massive floral bottlenecks and are redistributed to wholesalers. And during the final hours, they move from wholesalers to florists, still under strict temperature control, and
Hmm.
finally to the last mile delivery truck. Right? That was the entire supply chain in brief, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
This entire process happens in a matter of days. Any delay, such as maybe a customs backlog, a missed flight, a refrigeration unit failure,
Hmm.
doesn't result in just a slight inconvenience. Flowers don't get slightly delayed, they die,
Hmm.
Yeah.
right? So much so that a delay of 24 to 48 hours can make an entire shipment commercially unsellable. And I don't know the exact like weightage of one single shipment, but you can imagine it will be
Hmm.
considerably huge. You imagine just one of those big shipping containers that you come across, right?
When I was at business school, we had a
Hmm.
class in operations about this, and it
Hmm.
just reminded me how you are talking about it as what a shitty situation. Like
Hmm.
so much of wastage, and you said carbon emission and all of that. And our entire class, like we spent an entire 1 hour, 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, or whatever the length of the class was, I forgot, discussing how to make it more efficient. That was a
Hmm.
whole class. Like we did not even mention, and neither did it register in any of our minds that maybe we should not make this any more efficient. Like efficiency is what has gotten us supremely fucked with
Yeah.
this. Maybe just take a step back from this and re-evaluate life choices for a
Hmm.
second.
I mean, especially in this context, I can't make a sweeping generalization about it, but in this case specifically, efficiency, like we mentioned, almost always means speed. You're basically
Yeah.
speeding up
Hmm.
the transportation, the logistical process. And when you're speeding up the logistical process from, say, 3 to 4 days to maybe even lesser, that means almost always a lot of people are getting fucked over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like without any exceptions. So, do we really need to make it more efficient? I don't think so.
Exactly.
So, why I very briefly mentioned all of the logistics involved in the entire transportation of these roses is because this is hands down one of the most tightly choreographed, high pressure logistics operations in the consumer economy as we know it. And it's all for something that is almost certainly going to be thrown away within a week. No
Yeah.
one keeps a rose forever. Literally,
Yep.
no one does, right? So, what is the carbon cost of saying this special form of I love you? Because again, people seem to not be able to profess their love for anyone without giving a rose. So, what is the carbon cost, you might wonder?
Mm-hmm.
The speed we just talked about comes with a predictable but often unseen environmental price tag. Again, no surprises there, right? Flowers are flown because ships are simply too slow. Makes sense. The single fact explains most of the environmental cost.
Mm.
Air freight, to nobody's surprise, has one of the highest carbon footprints per kilogram of any transport method, right? Valentine's Day flowers rely almost entirely on it because, like I mentioned, we have a 3 to 4 day window, and
Yeah.
you just can't make ships work within that time frame, right?
Yeah.
The International Council on Clean Transportation, ICCT here on, estimates that air freighted roses can generate up to 3 kilograms of carbon dioxide per every dozen flowers. 3
Oh,
Oh
kilograms of
my
carbon
God.
dioxide per dozen roses. So
damn.
Jesus.
just keep that figure in mind, okay?
And this is only the freight. Like, forget
Only
about
the freight,
everything else.
only the freight, only the transportation for about a dozen roses that you are planning to give to your girlfriend, boyfriend, better half, whoever. Your 3
Damn.
kilograms of carbon dioxide is being dispersed into the atmosphere, right? Again, per ICCT, air freight emits up to 20 times more carbon dioxide per ton kilometer than sea freight. Fair
Mm.
enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, add the continuous non-stop refrigeration at every single stage of that 72-hour journey, and the emissions multiply exponentially. All of the
Yeah.
carbon emissions was just transportation. We did not take the refrigeration
Yeah.
Yeah.
into our calculations up until about now, right? So flowers must be consistently kept between 2 and 4 degrees Celsius from harvest to retail for them to
Mm.
be for them to sustain the entire logistical journey, right? So we're talking about chilling the flowers on the farm, chilling them on the truck to the airport, chilling them to the cargo plane, chilling them in the customs warehouse, chilling them on the wholesaler's truck, and then chilling them in the florist shop.
Mm.
Refrigeration throughout the cold chain can account for up to 30 to 40% of total flower related emissions. So, a huge chunk of the carbon emissions are also coming from the refrigeration cycle,
Refrigeration.
right? Multiple studies have pointed out that the carbon footprint of these imported air freighted continuously chilled cut flowers can be several times higher than locally grown alternatives. Again, not a surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense, right? Like if you're getting flowers from within the city, the carbon emissions will be multifold
Yeah.
lower than if you're importing the said flowers from some other country. Basic science and maths, right? So why don't people just buy them local? Like
Or
that's
further
the easiest
reduce
solution
it.
out there,
Or
right?
further reduce it. Don't give flowers.
I mean, yeah, sure, but
Just
if you are hell bent on professing your love by giving flowers, then why don't you just do so by buying local flowers,
fair
right?
enough. Fair enough.
Right? It's the easiest solution out there, right?
But Global
Because
North doesn't produce, like, does that with everything else, because the people who actually produce it, they don't pay the Global South or the global majority. So the costs are lower always, and not because they are lower because of lower cost of living, but because they are more easily exploited. They have very little worker
Mm.
rights. Our countries are not
mhm,
great with imposing that. So they can get away with that. And in local places in Global North, you have to pay. So,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, that is one of the many reasons, yes. Also, Because local flowers cannot meet the sheer scale or the aesthetic
Mm.
uniformity requirements that the modern Valentine's Day system demands. The
Hmm.
existing system prioritizes volume, predictability, and that perfect appearance over anything remotely resembling sustainability, right? So when I'm talking about aesthetics, the quintessential rose look
Hmm.
that you want, unless and until you're doing it at scale and doing it with
Artificially.
certain,
Hmm.
yeah, you cannot replicate that time and time again because that's not just how nature works, right? You
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to have specialized farms to make this thing work. The result is a romantic gesture that quietly carries a disproportionate environmental cost. And regrettably, that is a cost that only becomes visible after the flowers are already dead, sitting in a landfill somewhere, right?
Wait,
All in
why is
all,
sitting in a landfill? It's biodegradable, right? Like it's
But
roses. It'll biodegrade. It'll
yes, but
but
Ashmita,
decom.
but
are you
people,
forgetting
huh.
that? Yes, the sheer scale. Imagine we just spoke about how 200,000 tons of flowers are being exported out of Kenya, right? Imagine if, just for argument's sake, all of the flowers in Europe are coming from Kenya, roughly 200,000 tons. And all the 200,000 tons of them will need to go out somewhere by the end of the week, right?
Yeah.
You and not every individual person is okay, let me just try and compose this, right? It's going somewhere, and they usually throw it in their recycling trash. And where do you think most of the recycling trash ends up? In a landfill somewhere.
Not recycling trash. They're throwing it in trash, like in
Yeah,
general,
compostable trash
Hmm.
unsegregated.
or yeah,
Unsegregated
segregated trash.
normal trash. But
Hmm.
even then it'll okay, again, I'm not a science person. I'm just assuming this. Even in such areas, it should be decomposing and it should be biodegrading.
I am not
So
arguing the fact that it is compostable or decomposing
no, I'm
or
saying even if it
biodegradable.
is thrown in normal trash, like in landfills, I genuinely don't know this. Like in landfills, would it not anyway biodegrade or would it?
Yes, you're absolutely right. It will.
Okay.
My argument is if it is supposed to end up in a landfill anyway somewhere, even if it's biodegradable, there are a lot of factors and a lot of emissions taking place before the fact, right?
Yeah. The
That's my
Hmm.
process
argument.
itself is, yeah, the process itself is very carbon intensive.
And we are doing all of this just for all of them to end up somewhere in a landfill. That's my argument.
Mm.
Hmm.
All in all, this is a perfectly romantic, quietly destructive cycle that we are referring to here. And talking of perfectly romantic, quietly destructive cycles, it is time for us to take another short break, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, welcome back from the break. We were talking about the environmental cost of all the lovely roses that people in love shower upon their lovely partners. But now we move on to something else, something much sweeter and more notably edible. The flowers get most of the spotlight. They are not alone. Valentine's Day is an ecosystem of consumables engineered for rapid purchase and rapid disposal, right? And an integral member of this particular destructive cycle is chocolate. The chocolate demand, as you might have guessed by now, also surges during this time period, affecting cocoa prices and supply chains that already struggle with massive ethical and environmental issues. For those of you who are unaware, chocolate production is largely one
Hmm.
of the most unethical and unsustainable production cycles among all the goods that we
Hmm.
come in contact with on a daily basis, right?
So there are, firstly, mass chocolate production. All your, Cadbury's and Nestle's and everything, stop consuming them. They are, you should not be able to buy a chocolate at the price of 10 rupees a bar or something like that. Like cheap ass
Yep.
chocolates are,
Hmm.
that means somebody is not getting paid. Secondly, mass production also means that there is, like Sandy, you were mentioning, right? There's too much pressure on the
Yep.
supply chain itself and on the production itself. But there are now a lot of companies, and we owe this a lot to Tony's Choco Lonelies, the Dutch brand. that started this off. And now there are a bunch of different chocolate companies that follow more ethical practices. So what they do, first indication is that the price is not going to be as low.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, the price is not going to be artificially inflated. So you will see there on their website itself, you will see a lot of process listed out. Don't believe all of it. Check out fair trade certifications. That helps. There are a lot of aggregator companies, right? Like I forgot what it is for chocolate. Like for fashion, it's good on you. So you go
Mm-hmm.
and you see which company produces their clothes ethically. They are not using sweatshops or anything, and you're going to be able to pay accordingly. So I mean, you're going to be able to make a choice whether to buy from them or not. So for chocolates also, if you look up ratings online, just Google them, you'll be able to see which ones have one, they have ethical, the biggest concern that they have ethical payment to cocoa farmers. They are not using child labor. Child labor is a massive thing in cocoa farming. So they're not using that. They are local small farms. Also, much like coffee, right? Small local farms are usually more reliable. They do not have the means to make it very exploitative. I'm sure they have their own issues. Every place does. But this massive mass corporation issues don't exist in smaller, like smallholder farming and everything. So just look at it's very easily available. People are doing a lot of hard work on this. It's very easily available. Just while you're buying a brand, just look it up on Google and you will see their rating. You can type the brand and type rating and you'll be able to see. So it is chocolate and coffee both. Be very
Yeah.
careful where you're buying them from.
Yeah, all in all, if you are buying coffee or chocolate at a very cheap price, there's a
Yeah.
high percentage chance that someone is getting fucked over in the supply chain,
It is
especially the people
100%
who are
somebody is getting fucked over.
100%. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there's no high chance. There is no probability where
yeah.
people are not
No,
getting
fair.
fucked over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, in addition to chocolate, honorable mentions also go to all kinds of cards, including but not limited to the paper, the coatings, the inks, the
Mm.
plastic laminates, etc., most of which are not, say it with me, recyclable,
Recyclable.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. And as we all know, these packaging layers pile up pretty quickly, especially when you're talking about the volumes that are involved in these things, right?
Also, they're
Everything
so
here,
useless. Like chocolate,
yeah,
at least I can eat. What the fuck do I do with a card? Like,
yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
nonsense.
And if some of you are arguing that, oh, it's made out of paper, it is recyclable, no, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
It has a plastic lining to it.
Film. There's a
And as
plastic
soon as the
film.
plastic lining comes into play, that's fucked. There
Yeah.
is no recycling that thing again,
Also,
right?
there is a lot of difference between recyclable and actually recycled. Coca-Cola
Yes.
Mm.
has sold this to you really, really well, but my God, what a scam. Look that up.
Yeah, let's not go into that now. That's fine. That's a different topic altogether.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair.
So why I mentioned these things also briefly is because everything here is designed to peak and vanish. That's basically it. Your roses, your chocolates, your cards, and all the other, your teddy bears and stuff like
Mm.
that. All of these things which are hugely popular in and around Valentine's Day, they are artificially manufactured. And when I say artificially manufactured, I mean the system has been made so that the system has been manufactured to function in such a way that everything here is designed to peak during this particular time period and then immediately vanish thereafter. Again, for those keeping score, capitalism 4, love 0. Okay. I will be putting a scorecard here in this episode. In this case, romance is not durable. It is quite literally disposable, right? That's what we are basically referring to here.
Mm.
And at the base of this entire multi-billion-dollar high-pressure system are the workers,
Yeah.
particularly in those flower farms somewhere. Their labor intensifies sharply before February 14th.
Yeah.
Again, no surprises there, right? And Prakhar, you had asked one of the questions was, how do they manage this supply and demand? Because flowers can be grown all year round, right?
Yeah.
There are documented reports of long hours, exposure to pesticides, and weak labor protections in several major flour producing regions. Over 60% of flour farm workers are women,
Hmm.
many exposed to pesticides without adequate protection,
Hmm.
right? The closer it gets to the deadline, the higher the pressure becomes. Missed quotas have very real financial consequences upstream, and that burden, as always, shifts
Some.
downward to the people least able to absorb it,
Hmm.
right? In Kenyan flower farms, workers often earn less than $2 per day during peak seasons. $2 per day.
Nothing.
Is it really worth giving that fucking rose to your fucking partner? I don't think so. I would argue otherwise, in fact.
Yeah.
The speed and precision consumers expect from their perfectly timed, air freighted rose are made possible by labor conditions they will never see or even come to know of. You can thank me later for this social service, it's fine. That's why I'm doing this entire episode. So that you fucking know where that fucking rose is coming from.
Sorry, I do want to caveat here.
Yeah.
Um, I, I mean, working in sustainability, I think this has become pretty much something that I, you know, have harped on
Mm-hmm.
constantly. I realize that it is, consumers consuming it is the when you increase the demand, of course, the supply meets what it needs to meet, right? But I think the responsibility is not on the consumers. Yes, sure, of course, change your consumption patterns, like recognize what this is. You're pointing to customers saying that think about where this fucking thing is coming from, and I get that. But also the responsibility solely lies on the corporates that are producing this, because one, they can price this higher. They don't do that. Second, they can not take all of the profit for themselves and actually pay their people. They don't do that. They artificially increase all of this amount. They are the ones who are marketing this as a do or die sort of a day. And it's there, it's on them. It's consumption
I
is not.
disagree. I disagree. I disagree on the mere fact that they are doing all of this because there is a demand for it.
Demand for it.
And where do you think the demand comes from? If there
I
were
think
no
the
demand, they
demand is
wouldn't do
also,
it.
I think the demand is also pushed that way. Like
It is
you,
pushed. I am not denying,
yeah.
I am not
So
saying the people who are actually making all of this happen are not responsible for it in some way. They absolutely are.
they are the
But
majority. Like I
yes,
would solely place it on them. I
I
get
would not.
that consumption drives this, and individuals should be aware of what they're doing. It's much easier, instead of, like, this is one of the easier things to do, right? Nobody is asking you to change or find an alternative. You just have to stop. Like that's an easy fucking thing to do. So I buy to
Hmm.
that extent. In my mind, the demand has been generated, artificially pushed through marketing Valentine's Day as something that you have to fucking participate in.
I
And I
absolutely
like,
buy that.
yeah, and also, don't get me wrong, romantic gestures are great. Like that is
Mhm.
very nice, but you don't need to do all of these. Like, don't contribute. I think, yes, getting aware does help
Yes,
in this. I always blame corporates, but that's my go-to
awareness
for
awareness
everything.
is half the battle won, I feel. This is my
Yeah.
personal
Yeah, yeah,
opinion.
yeah, yeah.
Becoming
Especially for
aware is
such
the first
easy
step.
things.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's very,
especially for,
it's not like this is a you're changing your lifestyle in this case. You're
yeah,
not. You're
yeah,
literally not. It's a
yeah.
very easy choice to make.
It's super easy. Like, unlike don't consume meat, but get your protein from
Yeah.
plant-based structures. As somebody who shifted from meat to completely plant-based protein, I get it. It's very difficult. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I understand it. But this is easy. Like this
There are
is
no
one step.
sacrifices involved. There are no
Hmm.
personal sacrifices involved in just giving up a fucking rose. And that is
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
my annoyance is coming from. Right?
Yeah.
See, like you mentioned, the food, lifestyle change, there is an element of personal sacrifice taking place there because you
Yeah.
have to give up on something you love and then do that and then substitute that with something else. In this case, you literally have no excuse to do so.
Yeah.
There is no excuse. I'm
Fair,
sorry. There
fair.
Yeah.
literally
I
isn't.
buy that. I buy that. Yeah.
So, French consumer tests found pesticide residues on, if you had to hazard a guess, on, so France, famously is a part of Europe. So, and as we know,
Wow,
What?
Sandy.
No
France
way.
famously is a part of Europe. I thought you were going in a completely different direction, but
no, no.
yes, it is. It is factually correct. It is famously
Yes,
a part of Europe.
yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, like we mentioned somewhere earlier on, that
Hmm.
most of the roses, specifically cut flowers in Europe, come from Kenya, right? So, having said that, if you had to hazard a guess from all the roses that were imported from Kenya,
Hmm.
after having tested these roses, how many do you think, how much percentage do you think had pesticides in them or on them?
Almost
Just
all of them?
random, throw out a number.
98
Throw out a
fucking
number.
percent or something like that.
Maybe on all of them. 100.
Prakhar is right. 100% of imported roses that they tested included banned substances.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
imagine how terrible the working conditions must be to
Yeah.
start with. That the
Yeah.
final product in fucking France is setting off an alarm. This part of the Valentine's Day story rarely, if ever, makes it into advertising, but it is structurally, essentially, very essential to the operation, the entire rigmarole of it, right?
And I mean, such a surprise considering advertising is so famous for being honest.
Please don't personally attack me 2 episodes in a row, Ashmita. It's fine. You can live
I
without
mean,
attacking me.
I am
It's
in
fine.
marketing. I don't know like if I have the right to attack you, Sandy. So it's a combined attack to all three of us.
No, in the
And most
previous
of our
episode,
friends, fuck.
that we recorded, you also attacked twice born men, and I am a twice born man. So I
Oh,
mean, this
fuck
is getting
off.
out of hand now.
That that you fully deserve getting attacked for.
This is getting a little bit out of hand now. I don't appreciate it. Okay. And to no one's surprise, Ashmita will not be getting any roses.
I feel like this entire episode is designed in a way so that Sandy doesn't give me
Oh, of
anything on
course, it suits me.
Valentine's
It
Day.
suits me just fine. I have no complaints. Anyway, now that we've killed the mood and over that course, also killed all the romance of Valentine's Day, you might wonder what happens once the day comes and goes, right? That's the
Yeah.
sequentially the next question. The moment February 14th ends, the entire system slams on the brakes. February 15th is very loosely referred to as the Great Floral Die Off.
Hmm.
Oh God.
I hope the term is self explanatory to everyone.
Yeah.
For,
Wow.
for the two people who are unable to still understand it, demand collapses instantly, obviously.
Yeah.
Unsold flowers are discounted briefly as a final gesture and then they are discarded. It is estimated that up to 40% of Valentine's Day flowers are discarded if they are unsold within days of going up on sale. And days means literally days, like 3 to 4
Hmm.
days. Florists don't usually see this as waste or as failure. They expect it and they basically price it into the flowers that they're selling beforehand, right? Over ordering is almost always safer than running out because social
Hmm.
failure, the embarrassment of not having the roses, is considered much worse a fate than commercial waste. So again,
Yeah.
just putting things into perspective here.
I think it is from a commercial perspective, it should be more that the cost of this is so low that if I sell
Yeah.
off a certain
Hmm.
percentage of it and waste the other, I am still at a profit. So
Yeah.
Yes.
that must be more of a concern. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So right about now, I feel sort of compelled to say this out loud. If you not getting a fucking rose is seen as a social failure and you sort of feel embarrassed about it, I think you need to generally reevaluate your life choices right about now. Because
It's
Fair enough.
only it's only with young people, to be honest. Like As you
Yeah,
get older,
specifically, especially the young people, there is literally no merit in you getting a rose or a lily or a fucking weed out of
Yeah.
somewhere. I don't know. It's same difference. Literally the same
orchids.
difference.
You know, it
Yes.
might come as a surprise, but I've never given rose on Valentine. I've never celebrated Valentine's Day, by the way,
Why would it come as a surprise?
because everyone at some point no, but everyone, all of us at some point have
Yeah,
celebrated
yeah, yeah.
Valentine's Day, right? Even
Yeah,
during
yeah,
school time, they
yeah.
have celebrated. I have never.
During school time, I used to look like John Lennon with a mustache. So nobody gave me any roses or anything like that. But as an adult, in my
You never
20s,
had.
I
yes.
th I think it would be unfair if the viewers did not see what you look like in school, so please we'll be sharing that as well.
Where are you
Yes,
going to get it? I have zero photos from that time now.
I've seen one
please
You think
photo.
I'm
try
going
a
to
little bit hard.
you think I'm going to keep a photo of me looking like an ugly version of John Lennon?
No, but I've seen it somewhere. You showed me that picture.
I have. I
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
deleted everything. I don't remember.
Come
But
on.
yeah,
I think we are
I
morally
mean,
obligated to share that picture with this
we
episode,
were
no?
we were teenagers, so like teenagers have very low standards. We were still dating, but that we were not going out. I think my boyfriends did not want to be seen in public with me at that point in time, which I believe I fully understand that. So nothing, I did not quite end up celebrating, but a couple of years in between, as an adult, like this. Again, I like the romantic gesture, right? Like,
Hmm.
let's go out of town. We have a couple of days off. Nobody's really doing anything. If you're not in marketing, you are relatively a little freer, hopefully. So let's do that. But eh, like this overpriced dinners, and
Yeah,
sitting in a restaurant with like 1,500 other people, and you have to wrap up your fucking dinner in 1 hour and get the fuck out. I have done
Yeah.
that
yeah.
for a couple of years. It was not fun.
I've
Yeah.
never done it because the effort of thinking what to buy, where to go, it's just too much effort. So I've never
It
celebrated
is
it.
too. It is.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
Yeah,
And
It
yeah.
was
it
not.
seems at the end of the day, it starts seeming not romantic. Like
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
if you're going to take me to a crowd, and like how is that romantic? Like
yeah.
Yeah. The very things that you mentioned right now. All of these make Valentine's Day a textbook example of what experts refer to as a planned obsolescence event, right? What does that mean? The system literally assumes that a significant percentage of what is produced will be thrown away almost immediately. That is what is referred to as a planned obsolescence event. That is built into the system. Romance in this context is profitable only and only if it expires within a given period of time, right?
Yeah.
Again, for those keeping score, capitalism 5, love 0, right?
Yeah.
The gifts aren't meant to last. Flowers wilt, chocolates get eaten, cards get thrown away. Even the one night experiences are framed as finite performances. Durability would break the model because if love were expressed slowly, locally, or unpredictably, the logistics system would lose control over the demand,
Yeah.
right? And control over demand is the entire name of the game. So instead, what they do is
Huh?
not romance. Romance is compressed into
for a second, the the Delhiite dude fully came out, Sandy. For a
yeah.
set.
Romance is compressed into a deadline driven spectacle. It thrives on urgency, not meaning of any kind, right?
Yeah.
I understand that most of what we've discussed so far is pretty depressing and doesn't paint a very pretty picture of Valentine's Day. And by virtue of association, romance as a whole, right? But there are some alternatives out there that can make you feel good and get you laid at the same time, because that is ultimately the end goal, right?
Yeah.
Let's
I,
not kid ourselves.
I mean, sorry, if you have to rely on one day in a year to get laid, maybe work on your personality. I don't know. That seems.
Ashmita, have
That
you never
seems.
met any? Yeah, yeah. Like, do you not know how this thing works by now?
Ashmita,
I
that
mean,
seems like a personal attack.
Yeah,
Okay,
also
please.
that. Yes. Yeah.
please, you should be getting laid far more often. And if you aren't, the problem is not
See,
in the calendar, friend.
I'm not celebrating Valentine's Day. I'm not gifting flowers to anyone. How do you think people will know that I am
What do you mean?
up for
Go on an
romance?
app, go out.
Romance.
You are a fucking drummer. I am sure there are girls who have hit on you. There are women who now come up to you. I hope girls are not hitting on you because that would be problematic. But
The
women
only
would be reaching out.
the
Don't
only
lie,
only thing
Prakhar.
the only thing I'm hitting on are the drums.
As always, there are alternatives. Again, there are a lot of alternatives. I'm just mentioning one or two of them, but feel free to find out more in your own time.
Not that is going to
One
make
such,
any difference in my life, but please enlighten me.
yeah, yeah, of
Mm-mm.
course, of course. One such notable practice is something known as the slow flowers movement. This is especially popular. I think this is a US based organization that does this. Also makes sense because US is single-handedly the largest consumer of Valentine's Day goods, right? So
Yeah.
makes sense for it to be there. But the practice is something that can be sort of adapted to other regions as well, right?
Yeah,
Because the concept is what matters the most, not the geographical area. Slow flowers is a movement promoting the support and purchase of American grown flowers in the US. Similar to sort of slow food movement that is also parallel to
mm,
this.
Yeah, I mean, the solution to any unsustainable mass
Yeah.
consumption problem is buy local food, buy local
yeah,
produce,
Yes.
buy from smallholder businesses
Yes.
and smallholder
Exactly.
farmers because they do not have the capacity to artificially overproduce.
yeah.
That's standard across industries.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, just like Ashmita mentioned, similar to slow food movement, which is aimed at preserving local sustainable food and traditional cooking, slow flowers encourages consumers to support their local economy and consciously purchase cut flowers grown locally, seasonally,
I'm
and
sorry.
ethically in the US. What?
I'm I am so sorry. So for the listeners, it's you should go to YouTube and Sandy, please keep this clip in of Prakhar drinking from that fucking sipper bottle of it as an overgrown child, as an overgrown toddler. Please keep that in. That's
No,
was
no.
so
Actually, I've
distracting.
noticed that that's a gym bro thing. Gym bros do that
Oh,
pretty much
What? No.
constantly.
What?
Yes.
This is not a gym bottle, by the way.
it absolutely fucking is.
No, this is
What are you
not.
talking about?
It's not. This is not a gym
Also,
bottle.
I find it so weird that you all need to measure the amount of water you are having. What do you mean? You just
I
have
don't
water when you're
measure.
thirsty.
I don't measure and drink. I just drink. This is just a good amount of water that I need, and I don't have to
Mm.
go and fill every.
But
Uh,
it's like this. It was weird. It was a strange thing. So please
you know,
keep the clip in.
one of our friend told us that you should not drink standing up so that because the water goes straight to your
Goes to our
knees.
knees.
So that's why I'm
Yeah.
drinking with this.
Friend, you know who you are.
All right, go on, Sandy. Please come back. Sorry, I got fully distracted by that
Of course you did.
ridiculous image.
Of course you did. Thank you for calling me ridiculous.
So yeah, we were talking about the slow flowers movement. So basically what it does is it encourages consumers to support their local economy and consciously purchase cut flowers grown locally, seasonally, and ethically in the US instead of purchasing flowers imported from other countries or flowers grown using chemicals and pesticides. Makes sense. And this is a
Yeah.
practice that can be adapted to other localities, other regions, other countries as well, right? The ICCT estimates that locally grown seasonal flowers can reduce emissions by up to 80% compared to imported roses.
That's a lot.
80%
Yeah.
famously is a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Famously.
Famously.
Yes. Of course, there are a host of ethical sourcing initiatives. There are certified farms, for example. All of these options absolutely reduce the environmental and labor costs, but there's a hitch. They cannot scale to meet the global uniform demand of Valentine's Day. And therein lies the whole problem, right? Local producers can currently only supply less than 20% of Valentine's Day flower demand in major markets such as North America and Europe.
Hmm.
So is Valentine's Day broken? No, not as a concept, not as a thematic thing. Probably no. It is working exactly as it is designed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It reliably creates urgency. It moves inventory. It activates global logistics. It turns a messy human emotion into a predictable annual economic spike.
Yeah.
The problem is not that love has been corrupted. The problem is that love has been optimized, and optimization, once it enters the picture, doesn't care what it's optimizing, only that it works. And that's the
Yeah.
entire issue, right?
One thing that, so while this was all of this chocolate thing,
Hmm.
what we were talking about earlier, the supply chain and all, I had a fantastic professor in college, uh, in my business school, one of the very few people in business school who's ethically extremely strong. She was talking about the not Valentine's Day, but about these unethical practices. And one of the things that she was talking about, in just in passing, which I remember very clearly, is that when you are going towards overconsumption of something, right, like these artificial days where you are like artificially generated demand, the easiest way to retain the emotion that you feel on these days, maybe the pressure that you feel on these days, is to do what you would usually do, but in a slightly different way. Cook a special meal for your loved one, right? Like that's you would anyway cook meals. So that just becomes something special to do, like uh, chalk
Maybe cook
out a little bit
together.
of time.
Maybe cook
Maybe cook
together.
together.
Yeah.
Maybe cook together. Maybe instead of just switching on Netflix, dim the lights and like put on
And chill.
the old favorite movie. Have sex. Yes, like it's if you have nothing to do, it is fantastic, and be more generous while having sex. You think that is not going to top the list of everything else that you can do on Valentine's Day? Like that is the best shit ever. So it's just there are so
Yeah.
many things that you do in your regular life that can be made just a little bit better. And I really like that concept, like looking at overconsumption as not as at consumption as not something to be sacrificed, but as something that I would do anyway, but I can make it a little better and I can make it nicer. And I really like that.
Yeah, well said. So knowing all of this doesn't mean you have to opt out. Not That's not what we are sort of suggesting, right? The system is too entrenched, too convenient, too socially enforced for most of us to do that. And I understand that. That's fine. But once you see Valentine's Day not as a romance event, but as a high stakes, refrigerated, air freighted supply chain event, it becomes much harder to unsee the machinery behind the roses,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's an entire system behind all of that. And maybe that's the real Valentine's Day lesson. Love may be priceless, but expressing it apparently comes with a very hefty non negotiable logistics bill and severe environmental and human costs. And that is just basically what we're trying to communicate to you, is that maybe that is something you should be keeping in mind the next time you go about buying roses for a loved one, right? And and even if like two of you decide to, take do something, one of the things that Asmita mentioned, and instead of buying a rose, you decide to do something else. I think it's a job well done on our part. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much all we can hope for, right? And with that, I've come to the end of this episode.
What? No game segment today?
No, how
Oh
would I gamify this?
no.
Also, I thought game segment was getting a
Prakar.
bit. Yeah, it was like Groundhog Day, time and time again. So
Oh no, Prakar.
It's fine. It's fine.
anyway, now it's time for my recommendation of the week.
Recommendation time.
And talking of things we love, I can't believe we have gone so far into episode that this is probably episode 28 overall, I think. And we have gone so far without mentioning one of the show that I'm pretty sure at least 2 out of 3 love a lot, which is shrinking. I'm
Hmm.
surprised that
Oh,
we still haven't mentioned shrinking so far.
we haven't? Oh my
I
God,
don't
we
I
have
don't
spoken about
recall.
shrinking so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
that's
think
a
they're
And
coming
that's
up with another season, no?
yeah.
why I mentioned that, because as of the time of recording today, the new season is already out.
What?
It's out. It
What?
was released on the 28th of January. So
Oh
in case you're
yay!
deep into the
Oh,
shrinking game,
oh
I
shit.
think it's time for you to go check that show out. It's probably the one show which has dealt with the act of grieving over someone's loss
Oh
in the
Yeah,
yes.
best possible way, I would imagine.
yeah,
Like no other show even comes close. Like
Not
no
at
other show
all.
yeah,
comes close.
Not at like
And
it's a spectrum shrinking at the best and Ricky Gervais's fuck all show at the bottom. Like everything else is between.
I think Ashmita, as
uh,
a thumb rule, we can praise
Office?
something without shitting
No,
on something else. Just going forward.
Afterlife. Afterlife.
Afterlife.
We
Yeah,
always we always shit on Ricky Gervais. So that was really bad. But shrinking, the way it has expressed grief and the
yeah,
way it has shown people dealing with grief, my God, it is exceptional work. Like absolutely the
And
best
and when we
representation.
say dealing with grief doesn't necessarily mean it's all tears and sob stories. It's not. It's
Oh yeah.
actually a
it's
hilarious
actually,
show
yeah,
in equal measures.
It's so funny.
You know?
That's the thing about grief. Like
Yes.
before I dealt with grief, I used to feel that, like there is this trope of 5 stages of grief and all of that nonsense. And before I actually went through it personally, that it did not really register how complex it is and how people are not dealing with grief by
Yeah.
crying all the time. People
yeah,
are doing like you see absolutely quote unquote inappropriate behavior in funerals, right after people have died in hospitals.
yeah,
People are complicated, like our emotions are complex, right? So we
Hmm.
deal with grief in very strange ways, and they fuck you over at completely unexpected places,
Yeah.
and then
mm-hmm,
in completely in places where you are meant to feel more emotional and more like you want to cry at that time, something funny will happen. it's it's a whole thing, and then the jokes come, and they
yeah,
are,
Yeah.
that's just by definition they are dark. They are dark as fuck, but that also makes it super funny. So it's great. Like the
yeah,
depiction is grief is not great. Grief is
Yeah.
fucked up, but the depiction in that show and how they have made it, how it can make you laugh and cry in the same episode so many times, amazingly done.
yeah, yeah,
Love it.
Yeah. So yeah, if you are someone who's going through grief, or just you want to see how grief looks like in actual reality, and even if you're just looking for a good show to watch, just go watch
yeah,
Shrinking. It's a tremendously good show. You will not be bored, and you will come out of it with a life lesson or two. And hopefully,
And
you
make
also
it
come out
your
with a life.
Valentine's plan. That would be
Yeah, sure. You
nice.
can make it your Valentine's plan as well. So, like Ashmita suggested, you can just start watching Shrinking on Valentine's Day and make a date out of it. It's a pretty nice show to uh, watch together with your partner. So, yeah, it's nice. It's fun. And hopefully, just like on Valentine's Day, remember to, love your partner more. Maybe you start loving us more as well after hearing to this episode.
where is this
Uh,
available? Shrinking, by the way, if you want to
Apple
let
TV
people know.
Plus. Yes,
Yeah,
Apple TV Plus. Uh, but I'm sure there, especially in India, there are
Or
other ways you
pirated
can get around it. Yeah,
sources.
yeah, you can. There are a host of different ways which we don't necessarily need to educate you guys about. I'm sure you already know.
yeah,
So yeah, whichever way you can get your hands on it, please do. It's actually a pretty good show.
yeah,
So that much is a guarantee. And before we shrink into the oblivion, we'd very briefly like to remind you to please do write to us at don'tknowdocare1@gmail.com. The one is numerical. Or you can reach out to us on Instagram at DKTC Podcast. Or now that we have started doing video podcasts, you can also reach out to us in the comments of our YouTube videos. That is the easiest way you can get in touch with
yeah.
us. That also works. That also works. And please, wherever you're listening to this podcast, we would sincerely appreciate if you could give us some good ratings there, or whatever rating you feel is appropriate for a show like this. That is fine. Any rating will do, preferably a good rating, but we'll see. So,
No, just
because
if you don't like it, don't rate it. If you like it, rate it.
I mean, has that ever worked? If people
That's
really, really don't like it, they will let you know that they don't like it.
that is true. Like that
You
one
know?
guy from US.
So yeah, please do interact with our videos. If you're catching us on YouTube, please give it a like. Please subscribe if you aren't already. Please,
Yes, it
please do
helps us out
interact with us in the
immensely.
comments.
Yeah.
Yes. The more people like the videos, the more people it reaches out to, and that will help us out massively. We sincerely appreciate in case you do that. And if you're listening to us on a podcast platform, please give us some rating. That also helps us out massively. And yeah, and on that note, we'll be taking your leave. And until next time, take care. Bye bye.